The Seattle Seahawks opened their 1985 training camp firmly established as legitimate contenders. After 2 straight playoff appearances, many observers proclaimed the Seahawks as the team to beat in the AFC. And with the return of healthy running star Kurt Warner, Seattle's prospects seemed even brighter. But head coach Chuck Knox knew that rosy preseason forecast alone would not be enough.
Everybody starts out the next year all over again. And it doesn't make any difference whether you were 0-16 or won a Super Bowl championship. You've got to come do it again. You've got to prove yourself each and every year.
Seattle Seahawks football time. Pete Gross with a greeting today from the banks of the Ohio River, Riverfront Stadium in Cincinnati, where the Seahawks are getting set to open up their 10th season as a member of the National Football League, a season filled with much promise coming on the heels of last year's 12-4 finish and second straight appearance in the NFL playoffs under their head coach, Chuck Knox.
Seattle got off on the right foot as quarterback Dave Craig bombed the Bengals for 3 touchdown passes. Byron Walker, Darrell Turner, and Charlie Young all scored in a 28-24 come-from-behind win on opening day. A week later in San Diego, Seattle wiped out a Charger halftime lead as Dave Craig and Darrell Turner made history in a 49-35 offensive explosion.
Margin. Craig back. Here comes a blitz. He lobs one down the left side for Turner. He's got it to 5. Touchdown, Seattle!
And Darrell Turner's name goes in the record books as having caught 4 touchdown passes in a single game. That's more than any Seahawk has done.
But the most encouraging performance to come out of the first 2 games was the reemergence of running back Kurt Warner. After suffering a career-threatening knee injury the year before, Warner was now charging at full throttle. It was the result of tireless rehabilitation, plus Kurt's firm resolve not to be beaten by an injury or himself.
The first time I really felt any relief about his injury was when the doctor said that whether Kurt Warner plays or not is up to him and how hard he works. And knowing Kurt like I did, I knew that if it was the only element that was a question mark was how hard he was going to work, I was relieved by that because I knew he'd work very hard, and he did.
Warner's return revitalized the running game. Kurt rushed for over 1,000 yards, caught nearly 50 passes, and scored 9 touchdowns. Above all, he showed his teammates that he could rebound from such a setback and become a smarter, even tougher player.
I think it's made him a stronger player. I've never seen anybody work harder in the offseason, and he's took it as a mission that he was going to come back as strong or stronger than he was before. And I think he's done that both physically and mentally. He's a tougher player this year than he was that first year.
Little play fake a reverse to Largent, then Craig goes deep down the right side. Warner's there at the 5, he makes the grab, touchdown Seahawks!
That may be the best reception Kurt Warner has ever made.
With Warner back and 2 straight wins under their belts, the early portion of the '85 season saw the Seahawks' playoff plans proceeding right on schedule. After the cheering stops on Sunday, the otherwise quiet corridors in the Seahawk offices vibrate from the staccato sound of film projectors as the Seattle coaching staff prepares for the team's next encounter. Their efforts often produced picture-perfect results. But one group portrait of Seahawks that opponents preferred not to see was the onrushing hordes on the special teams. The 1985 Suicide Squads continued to enhance their reputation as one of the league's most opportunistic and hard-hitting units. For the second straight year, AFC players voted for a familiar name as their Pro Bowl special teams representative. the ever unpopular Fred Young. The Seahawks blocked kicks, a lot of kicks. Led by number 51 Sam Merriman, Seattle sent more punts, field goals, and extra points in reverse than any other team in football. Different players contributed in different ways throughout the year. For his many charitable and community endeavors, Mike Tice was named the Seahawks Man of the Year. Strong leadership came from veteran tight end Charlie Young, who ended his 13 seasons in the NFL with another solid performance. Mid-year arrival Dan Ross, number 85, contributed with several important receptions. Running back Dan Dornick, number 33, also made some big plays until he was lost for the year with injuries. From then on, the fullback position was capably manned by Eric Lane, Rick Parros, and David Hughes, number 46. When Kurt Warner needed a breather, number 43, Randall Morris, the team's second leading rusher, was a more than capable stand-in. All of Seattle's backs depended on the blocking from offensive linemen Blair Bush, Edwin Bailey, Robert Pratt, Bob Kreider, Ron Essig, Brian Millard, John Borchardt, and Connie Kauai. In addition, their pass blocking was a major reason why Seattle set a dozen new team records when the ball was put in flight. The passing game revolved around six-year veteran quarterback Dave Craig, whose cool-headed resourcefulness in the heat of battle could turn imminent disaster into touchdowns.
Craig fumbles the snap. There's a scramble for it. Nearly fielded by the Rams. Craig gets it back of the 20. Throws one in the end zone. Touchdown, Seahawks, the green. I don't believe it.
In 1985, Craig set or tied numerous team passing records. But his most impressive feat was a string of 28 consecutive games in which he threw a touchdown, second only to the league mark held by Hall of Famer Johnny Unitas. Of all Craig's touchdowns, nearly half went to wide receiver Darrell Turner, who found the end zone on 13 occasions, a Seahawk record. Craig's most significant performance of 1985 came against the Falcons in Week 6. In addition to setting club records for attempts and completions, he guided the team during a tense 2-minute drill that helped earn the Seahawks a 30-26 come-from-behind victory.
Falcons lead by 5. Craig back to pass with time. Now the rush starts to get to him. Craig takes off, throws on the dead run. Touchdown, Seahawks! The ball Scansey!
Although Seattle won, they had to struggle against a less talented team. Of greater concern to Chuck Knox was an annoying obstacle which the Seahawks were never quite able to break through. The team simply could not win more than 2 consecutive games. In a one-loss course that was agonizingly consistent, the Seahawks rode a roller coaster that saw them win 2, then lose 2. It was a pattern that would confound them all season.
Going into training camp, we were a confident bunch. We felt like that this was going to be our year, and we felt like that all the predictions that people were making about our football team were going to be realized during the year. Even though we've gotten off to a slow start, we still feel like that we have the people to be successful and have the kind of year that we all anticipated having.
In a Week 9 Kingdome encounter with the Raiders, the Seahawks snapped out of their doldrums, getting a little help from 65,000 of their closest friends.
Mark Wilson says we can't hear. The Raiders rented a big sound system. It cost them about $1,000 to practice with crowd noise, trying to, I guess, duplicate the noise here in the Kingdome. So they spent some money to get a sound system, but apparently didn't do them much good. All right, Wilson goes under center, gets the snap, drops back to pass. Jackson comes on a blitz. Jackson's got it back at the 23-yard line.
But the Raiders' troubles were only beginning.
Wilson will put it down. There it is. Barr's kick is blocked. Ball pops at the 42. It's picked up by a Seahawk at the 50. Racing down the side. Could go all the way. It's going to be Walker. Touchdown, Seahawks!
Dave Craig pitched in with touchdown passes to Kurt Warner and Darrell Turner. Then, the Seattle defense put the final touches on the Raider-busting performance.
Wilson back with a pass. A blitz comes. They pick it up. He throws. Picked off at the 25-yard line. Racing up the left side. Terry Taylor. He's at the 50. He might go all the way. Put 6 on the boards, baby. Terry Taylor. Touchdown, Seahawks.
Against their most bitter rivals, the Seahawks shook off a mid-season slump to play their best game of the year. After a sluggish start in 1985, the Seahawk defense returned to its usual form. Over the last 10 weeks, Seattle held the opposition to under 2 touchdowns a game. From their basic 3-4 scheme, Seattle's defense posed constant problems. Whether shutting off the run, defending the pass, or sacking the quarterback, the Seahawks constantly kept their opponents off balance. The play started up front, where number 72, Joe Nash, continued to perform well at the nose tackle position, logging even more sacks than he had in his All-Pro season of 1984. Number 77, Jeff Bryant, almost always beat his man and made his victim look bad while doing it. Bryant also led the team in fumble recoveries. On passing downs, Seattle inserted Randy Edwards, number 68, who, despite limited playing time, still collected 10.5 sacks. The master of mayhem was number 79, Jacob Green, whose presence alone could make quarterbacks tremble. Green led the Seahawks with 13.5 sacks, and his 7 forced fumbles made him the biggest thief since the Brinks robbers. In a year when refrigerators on defense became fullbacks on offense in order to score, Jacob Green earned his touchdowns the old-fashioned way. He stole them.
O'Brien back to pass, looking right. They're chasing him. O'Brien has the ball knocked away from him, picked up by Jacob Green at the 25. He's on his way. Jacob might go all the way for a touchdown. Jacob Green lives again. Jacob Green picked the ball up at the 25 and ran 75 yards.
While Green swiped the ball, Seahawk linebackers were swamping ball carriers. Michael Jackson, Bruce Schultz, Fred Young, Greg Gaines, Keith Butler, and Shelton Robinson formed one of the AFC's best run defenses. The linebacking core could also rush the passer, as could a defensive secondary that was constantly thinking about forcing turnovers.
The first thing we say when we go on the football field as a defensive unit, let's take the ball away. And so we're thinking about it.
Seattle defenders made sure the opposition was thinking about it too. In 1985, only the AFC champion Patriots forced more turnovers than the Seattle Seahawks.
Basically, we're trying to attack the football opposed to attacking the runner. My philosophy on it has always been that a natural tendency for a runner is to protect himself opposed to protecting the ball when he's about to be hit. So it makes it easier for you to extract the ball from the runner if he's protecting himself and not the football.
The Seahawks snatched, grabbed, even crawled for any loose ball. They weren't averse to dishing out a jarring hit now and then either. Defensive backs Terry Taylor, Dave Brown, John Harris, Keith Simpson, Terry Jackson, Paul Moyer, and Eugene Robinson were constantly looking for stray passes, making interceptions when the Seahawks needed them most. Seattle's success could be accurately measured by their turnover totals. When the Seahawks took the ball away, they usually won. But when the turnovers dried up, so did Seattle victories. In the season's final weeks, Seattle's offense was equally sporadic. The team was playing hard, but close, frustrating defeats were all they got for their efforts.
You know that if you prepare well, your team is probably going to play well. You're not always going to win, but they're going to play hard, and they're going to go out there and give good performance. You can live with that. But it's those other little things, the way the ball bounces, an official's call, those are the things that are really frustrating.
The year's most crushing moment occurred in a closely contested game against the Patriots.
Craig with a two-back setback to pass, has a look, goes down the middle, Largent at the 45, breaks it to the 40, could be on his way, he's at the 20, the 15, the 10, cuts back inside, touchdown Seahawks! Flag is thrown though, back upfield, and they're calling it back.
The Seahawks never fully recovered from the critical call. Seattle was finally eliminated from a playoff berth in Week 15, then ended their schedule with a nationally televised game against the Broncos. A game that proved to be a microcosm of the entire Seahawks season. Seattle raced to an early 17-0 lead and appeared to have the contest well in hand.
Norman got away a good punt last time out. Here's a strong rush coming, they block it. The ball is picked out of the air by Tanner, goes into the end zone, touchdown Seahawks! But just as quickly, the Broncos rallied to tie. From there, the game seesawed back and forth until late in the final moments when Denver took a 27-24 lead. With only seconds remaining, Dave Craig led a desperation drive that put the Seahawks in position to send the game into overtime. So now it'll be up to Norm Johnson with 4 seconds left to go. A 53-yard field goal try. Johnson's kick. He's going to be short, I think. Let's see. It hits the upright and bounces off. No good. Denver wins the ball game.
Suddenly, dramatically, the roller coaster ride of '85 had finally come to an end. Even in Seattle's roller coaster season, 2 Seahawks standouts were named All-Pro. Wide receiver Steve Largent and safety Kenny Easley, who earned postseason honors despite various injuries.
Kenny Easley is a great athlete, number one. He's got great physical skills. He's an intense competitor. He just loves to win, and he loves to hit as hard as he can hit in a legal manner.
Judging by the numbers, some might feel the Easley of '85 wasn't as good as the Easley of '84. That would be a mistake.
I'm not living off last year's laurels or looking forward to doing the things that I did last season. I had a great stat year last year. This year I'm playing better football because I'm a year older and I'm a year smarter. The stats to me are not the barometer of my success. It's the way I go out and perform my assignments on Sunday afternoons or Monday or whatever it might be. That's the barometer of success for me.
By whatever standard of measurement anyone used, Kenny Easley was still among the best in the business, earning All-Pro and Pro Bowl honors for the 3rd consecutive season. Numbers certainly tell the story when it comes to the record-breaking totals posted by Steve Largent, a man fueled by competitive fire and professional pride.
I'm not a great athlete, but I think I'm a good football player. I've played for a long time, and I know a lot about the game, and because I've been around for a long time now, my football instincts are pretty good, and I try to be in the right place at the right time.
Largent was right often enough to lead the league in receiving yardage and set a club record with 79 receptions, accomplishments that did not go unnoticed by his teammates.
Well, Steve Largent obviously helps you as a quarterback by making catches that most people wouldn't be able to make. He shows an intense desire to want to catch the football, which also inspires myself. When I see Steve making some tough catches, that makes me want to play better because I see him out there trying his hardest. And unlike any other receiver in NFL, I believe, can read a defense on the run. You know, a lot of people, they have to look the football into their hands. Steve can look at the football and then turn the other way and catch on the other side of his body like nobody else can. He's got great concentration, great hands, and he has an intense desire to want to catch the football, and he's a very competitive person.
I think last season, Steve had one of the most fantastic years. I watched him on film, and I just could not believe some of the things he did to get open. So he must be a real creative guy because I've never seen anything like it on film.
Nobody had ever seen a player catch 50 passes in 8 different seasons either, until Steve Largent in 1985. He is the 5th leading receiver of all time. He has caught a pass in 123 straight games, 4 shy of the league record. These standards of consistency have made Steve Largent one of the best players in football. And it is the same kind of consistency the Seattle Seahawks football team will count on as they strive for a return to the playoffs.
We're not a Cinderella team anymore, and we have to understand that. They're aiming for us. They want to come and beat the Seattle Seahawks because we're a known entity. We're a good football team, and we need to go out there every week and prepare and play as hard as we can because other teams are coming in to beat us.
You know, I think this year we have a much more mature football team than we've had in the past, and a lot of guys that were, you know, 3rd and 4th year players when Chuck came in are now in their 5th and 6th and 7th years. And so Chuck has really taken upon himself to motivate the players, simply to show us what's available to us and what can be realized and going after it.
What's worth going after are the playoffs, a division crown, a trip to the Super Bowl. Seattle fans know their Seahawks are winners. The talent is still here. The roller coaster ride of '85 is over. In 1986, the Seahawks will strive to regain their reservation on the Playoff Express.